All right. Thank you guys for coming. Hi, Connie. Hi, Mark. You're excited. Happy almost Saturday. That's true. It is. It's midnight with Magoo on Friday night. That's. I was originally doing it midnight with Magoo. My name is Tori Chrisman. For anybody who doesn't know, I was in Scientology for 30 years. Woke up in 2000, escaped out, and you can Google my name, Tori Chrisman, with a Tory, not I. And there's all kinds of stuff about me. But I escaped out, and then I've been speaking out ever since for 24 years. And these are some nifty people that are part of my live stream, which is a new thing for me that I'm doing. Hey, Teresa. Hi, Cajun Country Travels. Wow. Hi. And Sophie. Yay, you came on. Hi. So it's Midnight with Magoo. There you go. I was doing it every night at midnight, and it was just too much. I was up way, way too late. And so it just had to. I think this is doing it again where I'm talking, but the words aren't coming out. I don't know what does that. Here she is, the lady of the hour. Thank you. Well, anyway, we'll do our best. So the topic for tonight is Scientology. Why join? Why not? Now, hey, Connie. Hey, Sophie. I'm just watching your videos, Tori. Thank you for sharing. You are welcome. Yeah, I've made over 1,000 videos for anybody who's interested in, all kinds of different questions about Scientology. They have, if you type in Scientology on the internet, everything is perfect and wonderful and everybody's doing great. And that's the way it is. That's why I call it the Scientology Truman Show. Oh, good. Thank you, Lauren. So for me, if you haven't seen the movie The Truman Show, watch it because it's very much like how a cult is. It's like the Hotel California. You can check in, but you can't check out. I think there's a thing with this. I have a feeling with this computer. Hi, JB808. I have a feeling you can't. Hi, Mark. That maybe I can't move or something. If I move, then it changes so that do you think that's it? I don't know. You join because it's only a billion years. Well, the billion-year thing, you have to remember, there is a billion-year contract, but that's for the Sea Organization. And those were the people that were originally working with Hubbard on the ship. Hey, it's Marissa. I recognized you. Hi. And I'm glad you're here, all of you. So originally the Sea Org were the people that were on the ship with Hubbard. And then in the 70s, the late 70s, he came on land and started really in Clearwater, started the Flag Land Base. And I was a big part of that because we just moved there in 1979. And it was a disaster. I mean, that's a whole different story. So I'm not going to get into it. But why people would join, a lot of people join because they tell them, we used to do this. We'd go, hi, can I ask you a question? And the person would say, yeah. And you'd say, what's ruining your life? And believe it or not, people would just spit out what was ruining their life. I can't communicate, or I can't make money, or I have trouble with relationships, whatever it was. Our answer was always, well, there's a good chance Scientology could help you with that. We used to say it can help you with that. But then I think they probably got sued enough that they had to change it to, there's a good chance it might help you with that. So that's the way it is now. But they still they call it your ruin. It's what's ruining your life. And most people have something that it may not be ruining your life, but if someone put it to you that way, it's kind of like, well, I do have trouble with X, Y, or Z. All right, well, Scientology could help you with that. Why don't you come in? And then you get in, and these people are like, wow, Marissa, you came in. You came to the right place at the right time. This is a perfect place to be. And you're like, really? It's just kind of surprising because you're not used to being around that they call it love bombing in cults. And you're not used to being love bombed like that. And it takes you off guard. It's weird. You can say, oh, it wouldn't affect me. And it wouldn't affect me either now that I know about it. But when you don't know about it, it does. It's really weird. All right. So you guys tell me if any of you were in, what got you to join? I can't, if you know or what you think might get you to join. And then I'll tell you why not. But maybe it'll be why. Like some people, if they can't communicate and they did their original communication course, they were better at communicating. So that was good. All right. Now this is Diane. Love you, Sophie, as my friend, of course. Love it is my wife, LOL. These rumors are so funny. Honestly, they say that about you? That is really funny. And I'm your mother, of course. I'm everybody's mother or grandmother. That's just what happens as you get older. That's funny, though, Marissa, that they're saying that she's your wife. Janet from another planet. Hello, welcome. Yeah. I love that name. I love that nickname. It's really funny. Janet from another planet. Did you guys see that all these billboards are going up around LA? 20 billboards. And it's gonna be good. It really is. Tori is a Caucasian mom I never had. Well, that's debatable, but as far as Caucasian, no, I'm kidding. I always say I'm English, Irish, German, Scottish, and part Welsh, and spiritually part African, and spiritually part Latina, and now spiritually, I don't know, there's a few other ones now because I've just fallen in love with all kinds of different countries and people from them. Tori's a mother and a CIA agent too. She wears many hats. It's true. They actually told that to a public, that I'm an undercover CIA agent. It was really fun. The guy was going to give him $5,000, brand new guy. And you figure brand new, it's usually like 40, 50 bucks to do one of their intro courses. Oh, no. They had to get with this guy. And I had said, look, they lie and they hate me. I'm just going to tell you that. And there's a security guard that's going to be here in about two seconds. And sure enough, he came up on the bike and took the guy inside. And hi, Gurur. And the guy came out and he goes, wow, they really hate you. And I said, I warned you. And so later, anyway, it went on, but later I made a video about the whole thing. And he said, are you making a video of this? And I said, not of you. And he goes, no, I want it of me. Here, I want to show him my personality test. And he held it up. He was great. And it's on Facebook. It's on my Facebook site, back like not this last Christmas, but the Christmas before. So you'd have to go back a ways to get to it. But it's on there. It's a whole video of him showing his personality test and stuff like that. And then I called him the next day just to make sure they didn't come get him or something. And he said, nah, I'm going to Japan. He was a wrestler. So he said, nah, I'm going to Japan. And so I said, did they get the 5,000? And he goes, hell no. He goes, and I said, well, just out of curiosity, what did they say about me? Because he really looked kind of freaked out. And he said, well, they told me you're a top secret undercover CIA agent. And I cracked up because, I'm a declared suppressive person. And I'm one of the few that has my SP declared. Thank you very much. From the Church of Scientology, of course. That's what they do. They declare people suppressive. And like I left on my own. But now they say we kicked her out. They didn't kick me out. They never did anything to me. They didn't do any ethics, which they're supposed to do a whole raft of things. And then if you don't get fixed, then they declare you suppressive. But Miscavige now, just pop, you're declared. So whatever. Now let's see. Howdy Gurroar. Yeah, it's good. It's always good to have Gurroar in here, as well as all the rest of you munchkins. All right. Marissa, Sophie says, I thought we were sister wives. Oh my God, they really got you guys going. Tori is a mother of a CIA agent. I love that. Thank you, Connie. That is really funny. It's true. It's very true. Marissa Smith, interesting. I think MIMS are very cultish. I don't know what MIMS are. All right. Hi, Magoo. Glad to see you are live. Thank you, Christy. Thanks for coming on. Gurroar. So you hitchhiked across America. How was that? Can you please tell me a bit about it? Because that must have been amazing and wild, being a hippie in the 60s, going through different states. Amazing. Well, Gurroar, I have to be honest with you. I don't remember much of the hitchhiking across the United States, but what was outstanding was living in Haight-Ashbury during the 60s. I mean, it was wild. I mean, it was a party every day, all day. There was, excuse me, a lot of drugs that were going around, and I was like, all right, I'll try it. I tried everything, except for cocaine. That was the only thing I didn't try, but everything else I tried once. And, if I liked it, I did it some more. I liked the grass back then. I don't like the grass now. I tried it once and it was I was really paranoid because I just left the church. And I was super paranoid after trying this new grass. And they said, yeah, they put some stuff in it. So a lot of people are paranoid with it. But, I met a lot of bands and hung out with really cool people. I mean, it was just a wonderful time. It really was. It's like everything you see, imagine it 100 times better. That's how it was. I mean, it was just a giant party. That's what it was. Now, going across the United States, that was different because I was leaving that world and going into becoming an auditor. That was my intention, was to go to Scientology and become an auditor. So that's what happened. And I don't really remember a whole bunch of it. Honestly, it probably was really cool. It's too bad I don't remember it, but I don't. But if I do start remembering it, I'll tell you, Guru. Hi, alligators. And Sophie says, I don't think we will ever know just how many people Tori has helped and continue to help. Thank you. I work on it. I hang in here. You know what I mean? It's like I'm 77 years old and I'm still talking about Scientology. But you know what? People write me all the time and say, thank you so much. I was going to either join Scientology or join the Sea Org or, whatever. I've just been able to help a lot of people. And I got into Scientology to help people. I don't know that I really ever helped very many people. I helped Karen Black, who was an actress. I got her voice back with a touch assist. So I helped her. I helped a few people, but it wasn't much. But since I've been out, it's just been a raft of people. It's been wonderful. It's been really great to be able to help people. It has, because that's my intention. So anyway, it's been good. All right, so this is Diane, aka Marisa. Tori, my parents joined Scientology in 1975 in the Bay Area. Okay. So I was in 69. So I was in before your parents. They both were raised Roman Catholic, me too. And Scientology appealed to them because there wasn't Dogmatic worship, me too, because I'd quit the church, so I was okay with that. Scientology's spiritual advancement approach, yeah. Yeah, that was me too. And really I wanted to help people. So my thing was I wanted to be a doctor, and I was in college, and I thought, Tori, you are never going to make it through 4 years of college and 4 years of medical school and an internship. And I read Dianetics, which the guy that got me in called me today, actually. And we were laughing about it, but I he brought over the Dianetics book. He was a guy that knew me in high school, and he heard that I was back in Lake Forest, and he called me, and he said, you can keep this book, because I said, what's Scientology? I mean, I'd studied all kinds of different Buddhism and Taoism and stuff like that, but I had never heard of Scientology. And he said, oh, it's an applied philosophy. And I said, really? And he said, oh yeah. He said, here, you can have this book, you can keep it. And I was like, wow, that's nice, because it was a hardback book, and it was like, well, that was nice. And I only read 3 chapters of the book, but then that was it. I was like, that's what I want to do, because I thought an auditor would be about as good as a doctor. It's not the same thing, but you could clear people. And, I kind of bought into Hubbard's thing of you have a reactive mind, and if you get rid of it, then you're clear. And once you're clear, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, never even thought of it being a scam. I just didn't. And it turned out it is. It's just a giant scam. I have yet to meet an actual clear with the original definition Hubbard had, which is a perfect memory, a perfect IQ, no somatics, and no pains. And I've yet to meet anybody with that. So that's me. A lot of people say they're clear, and I go, okay, whatever. Mark Stebbins, before you left, did you ever hear of others who escaped, left before you? I think I was the first person, honestly, that I knew that used the word escape. Everybody, that I had heard left, they would say, we blew Scientology, or we've blown Scientology, like blown for good, But I was a sect checker, and blowing is based on overts, bad deeds that you've done. And Hubbard said, you build up enough of these overts, and then you have to leave. You have to get away. It's not because you're a bad person. It's because you're a good person. And Hubbard said, man is basically good, and he doesn't want to hurt the group. So he will remove himself from a relationship or a group because he has so many overts or bad deeds on that person or group, and thus he blows. So when I left, I didn't blow. I didn't. I left because I saw how much shit that they did, and I was like, I didn't get into Scientology for this. But B, they did chase me across the country. The vice president was at LAX. My husband and Osa were in Chicago, and Osa, a mob of Osa, and the police, and my 3 new friends were in Tampa, Florida at 1:45 in the morning. So I did literally escape out. And so I started calling it escaping. I said, I escaped out. So I'd hear of people that blew. They'd say, oh, so-and-so blew. But see, it always had a negative twist on it to people that are in, because they see it as like, oh, they had so many overs, they had to leave, right? And if you don't understand that, ask me a question about it, and I'll explain it more. But anyway, that's how I saw it. And so I started saying escaped. And then now everybody says that, because it really is. That's really what happens. You do escape out. It is, unfortunately, a group where you can't just say, you know what, I'm done, I'm going. That's what happened with the Catholic Church. I said, I'm done. I'm not coming back. I was ticked off. And I told Spanky about it today, because they told me, if you pray hard enough, you can get whatever you want. So I was walking around my block as a little kid in Park Ridge, Illinois, which is a suburb of Chicago. And I was praying to God that I wanted a horse. And I kept walking and walking and walking and praying and praying and praying. And finally I thought, okay, I think God got it. And I went to my house and there was no horse in the front yard. And so I went to the side yard and there's no horse in the side yard. So I thought, well, maybe it's in the backyard. So I went in the backyard and there's no horse there. And we had these little gardens my mom made for each of the kids where we could grow whatever we wanted. So I looked in the gardens and there was no horse there. And we had a little basketball court and there was no basketball. I mean, there was no horse there. And so now I was like really ticked off. It's like, what is this? I pray, you say, if I pray hard enough, I'll get what I want. That didn't happen. So for me, Scientology, that was it for me. Shortly after that, I thought if there is a God, he would never talk to people the way this guy talked to people. He was really mean. And I thought, if there is a God, I don't believe he would talk to people that way. I just don't. To this day, I don't think so. I think a God, he or she, would be a very loving person or entity, that would help people. Okay. So that was it, Mark. So I hadn't really heard of them escaping, but I had heard of some, but not many. Honestly, they really keep it under the radar. So you don't really know. You've heard some people left and they started a little group of their own and they're really evil people now. And you kind of think, no, wait a minute. They were like the top of, like Ivan Obelinsky was like he ran AOLA for years. He was like the best and the greatest and won all these awards. And then overnight was out 2D, meaning he went out with I think he was married, but he had an affair with a financial chick, somebody that was a finance officer. And that was it. They're gone. They're declared suppressive. Don't talk to them. But they don't say that much. So when I came out, I was shocked, absolutely shocked at how many people are out here that left. I mean, escaped out, chased out, whatever. You just don't know it. You really don't. Okay, Sophie. Oh, that's a question to Marissa. Okay. Now, wait, I got to read this. I think that the appeal of being a technology towards spiritual certainty and freedom is what got a lot of people into it, especially back in the 70s and 60s when Tori and her parents got in. Oh, yeah, her parents, Marissa's parents. Yeah, I think you're right. And it was sort of like I heard one lady, I forget her name, Marianne Williamson, I think, and she was talking on this one guy's tape. And she said back then, everybody was partying. We were all a group. We were all together. And then 3 things happened that changed history. Martin Luther King got killed. JFK got killed. And Kennedy Jr. got killed. And she said, all of us went upstairs and just started doing our own thing. And that's kind of what happened. It really is. It went from this united group to like, I don't know, I gotta get things going. And everybody did what they did. That was it. Haight-Ashbury in the 60s. Oh my God, I'm so jealous. I know, Guru, my son says that all the time. Almost everybody I know who wasn't in Haight-Ashbury feels the same way, because it just was a gigantic party. And if you like parties at all and fun, it was a place to be. And music and creativity, and every day they were creating something else. You'd come out and tie-dyes were created for the first time, and you're like, wow. And they're like, oh yeah, take one here. We have 50 of them. We're making a whole bunch of them. Like beads, and people stringing beads and bracelets, and just all kinds of. That's why I wear all this stuff, because I'm still a hippie, basically. I like that kind of stuff. I do. It really was fun. I always give the Bay Area hippie movement a pass on joining Scientology. It was either Scientology or Anton Lovely back then, or a Brady Bunch lifestyle. Bingo. You got it. That's exactly right. I was thinking that today. It was just like, even if I'd stayed and became a doctor, I would have probably lasted 5 minutes because I wasn't the Brady Bunch lifestyle. I kind of grew up in the Brady Bunch lifestyle, and I very happy with my childhood, but it wasn't for me. You know what I mean? It just wasn't. I kind of grew out of it, especially being a hippie. It was just things evolved, and that's all I can say. I love that you don't remember the road trip because that means you must have been having a really good time. I know. I know. Isn't that funny? It's very weird. Well, Tori, there's a saying, if you remember the 60s, you weren't there. Amen. Amen, sister. I ran into Gracie Slick. You guys probably don't even know who she is, but there was a band called the Jefferson Airplane, and she was one of the singers. And she was at the Egyptian in Hollywood. This was, I don't know, probably 5 years ago or something. It was before COVID. But I ran into her, and it was so much fun talking to her. And she and the guy who did the Monterey Pop Festival, which again, maybe none of you know about, but if you haven't, Google it because it was a fabulous festival that happened. And she was playing in that with the Jefferson Airplane. And so the guy that made the movie, the Monterey Pop Festival, was watching me take all these pictures of her and snapping pictures, and she had all of her artwork out, and so I was taking pictures of that. And there were these professional photographers, with the big cameras, and she finally looked up and she said, "Do you think you have enough photographs yet?" She was ticked off because they took like 5 photographs or something. And the guy from the producer, director of the Monterey Pop Festival said to me, he goes, "You're amazing." He said, "You must have taken 200 photographs in the time that they've taken 5. And I said, "Yeah, I know. I like that." And so then I told both of them about the cult. And I said, "I knew you up in Haight-Ashbury, Gracie. And then I got in the cult, and I was in it for 30 years. And then I escaped out, and I've been speaking out ever since." And she goes, "Wow, that's like full circle, man." It was really cool to run into her. It really was. And I told you, Janis Joplin, we used to just walk into the bar, and she was in there singing. It was like, I love this woman. She's fantastic. All of the bands, the Doors, and you could just go on and on. There's so many great ones. I fell in love with, I don't know, all of them. But thank you, Guru. That's good that you mentioned that. And Sophie, that's funny. Alligators. I want to go back in time just to party with Tori. It was a good time. I'm telling you, I met Bob Minton when I escaped out. He was a multimillionaire businessman. And he said, "I don't get it. I mean, how could you, now that I've met you, how could you be in something like Scientology? I don't get it." And I said, "Why don't you have a seat?" And he sat down, and I said, "I'm going to tell you a little bit about my life when I joined Scientology." And when I was done, this is the 60s, right? And we were partying like mad in Scientology. It was crazy. I mean, it was a crazy, crazy time. I mean, granted, I'm sure there's CEO guys that said it was really hard for them and stuff like that. But, I'm just saying for me, the public, it was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun. And even Spanky, who was in the Sea Org, she was saying, yeah, in the early days, it was a lot of fun. We did have a lot. I mean, Yvonne used to say, she started Celebrity Center, and she used to say, if it isn't fun, it isn't Scientology. Well, guess what? That's why you don't want to join it now, because it isn't fun anymore. It's a big bomb. But Bob Minton said to me, Mr. Multimillionaire Businessman, at the end of me telling him about my, 60, early 70s, he said, "You know what, Tori? If I was there then, I probably would have joined." It was a good time, I'm telling you. So I get it, alligators. Either you raised a valid point as usual. She always does. Alligators, yes, but you can party with her now. That's true. That is true. Wow, Tori, you're still friends with the guy who got you in Scientology? Oh yeah. Yeah, he calls me all the time. Not all the time, but we've been friends for years. I mean, he's one of the oldest, one of the people I know the longest. We were in high school together. And yeah, we've stayed friends. I mean, he's out too. So we're both out. And why not? I like people. So yeah, I'm still in friends with him. I mean, I'm not mad at him. You know what I mean? See, the thing is, that's the thing. Why do it? This topic is why join, why not? But originally, when you get in, you think you're either going to be able to get some help if you want help, or you're going to be able to give help, because their whole big thing is we're going to clear planet Earth, which obviously has been an epic fail, Osa. If you haven't noticed, I mean, the entire world is a disaster. And you guys saying you're going to clear planet Earth, you've been at this since the 1950. 60, 70, 80, 90, 2000, 2010, 2020. That's 50, 60, 75 years you've been at it. I think it's time to hang it out. I really do. But anyway, now they're going to have 20 big billboards all around Los Angeles about Scientology. One has Mike Rinder on it, and one has Claire Headley, and one is The Aftermath. And they all have different websites. So that's going to be good. That'll be good. That'll bring some more people on our side. Can you enable memberships for Canada? Because I can't join here. No, wait. Alligator says, yes, Sophie, but the hangover is rough at my age. That's why I don't drink. I mean, I have a beer, but that's it. I share those little beers with my son every couple of weeks. Wow, Tori. Oh, okay. No, wait. What does that mean? Can you enable memberships? Memberships to what? For Canada, because I can't join here. Oh, you mean memberships here? I don't know. That's over to Sophie. She'll have to answer that because I don't know. I'm in Canada and I received a membership here. Okay, good, alligators. Moose on the Loose is here. All right. Hey, Magoo, popping in to say hi and might pass back out soon. We'll replay thought. We'll replay though. All right. Okay, good. Moose on the Loose. Do it. And Sophie said, Gerror, I think it's something to do with the phones. I'll have to check with Tori how to share a link for membership. And you think I'm going to know? I don't know. We'll work it out. All right. Hey, Tori. Oh, hi, Love It. Hey, Tori and Chatters. And here's Marisa. It's so funny. We still talk about this because we all thought you were really tall. I don't know why. I had the same thing with Paulette Cooper. I thought she was really tall, and she's tiny, itty bitty. Big being, but tiny, tiny physically. And you're kind of the same way. But I was surprised that I was, you came walking up, and I thought, who the hell is this? And you're like, it's Marisa. I was like, wow. You've probably been asked this a million times. Have you ever thought of writing a book? Your San Francisco hippie hitchhiking Scientology journal, then realizing how evil Scientology is. Yeah, it's just I'm not a writer. So what my brother's doing, because I have two older brothers. One is a writer and has written 10 books, and they're up on eBay. The other one hasn't written anything, but has been traveling around the world since he was in his 20s. And so he has an amazing story. And now he's a DJ, and he just has an outrageously great story. And I keep saying, you've got to write a book. And he's like, yeah, but I'm not a writer. Same as me. But now he found out ChatGPT, apparently you can tell your story and they will put it in book form. Isn't that interesting? So I have to learn how to do it and try it. I do. Because I would like to. And a million people, for years have told me you got to write a book. And it's just sort of like, I feel like there's so many books out there about Scientology. Who would care? Even when I was the only person talking, it seemed like, I even then I'd start writing in 2000 and think, oh, who's going to care about this stuff? And now there's a million books out. So I think now they really aren't going to care. But anyway, I probably will, just for fun. Tori, you experienced the good, the bad, the ugly of the 60s in San Fran. That is true. Yes, ma'am. I did. Bonsoir. All right. For alligators. Michael Andreas. Hi. Funny how the C of S creates suppressive persons. I know. It really is. I told him that when I was in. I said, you know what? You are creating your own enemies by doing this kind of stuff. And they are, now that I'm out. And I told them that when I left. There's a thing called Magoo Dancing in Boston, which Bunker made. Excuse me, after I'd been out for about a week. And you can see it, because I'm like, Scientology believes in communication. No, they don't. Not anymore. But the tech is there for it. But anyway, in that video, now I forgot what I was talking about. Shoot. I got off onto something. What was it? Funny how C of S creates suppressive persons. Okay, that's right. And I was saying, you create your own enemies. And in that video, Magoo Dancing in Boston, I say to Mike Rinder, who back then was the head of PR and still in, you need to come out here, Mike, and talk to these people. Well, he finally did. And rest in peace. I think they're having his memorial pretty soon. Coming up. Sophie, that was a brilliant statement about the impact of those events on American culture of that era. And you're saying that to who? It was a brilliant statement about the impact of those events. Are you talking to me? You talking to me? That's how I got onto OT4. Yeah. Okay, finally, alligator, très bien. Oh, God, here's a whole bunch of French. Okay, from Love It. All right, hello, Tori. Hi, Eric. And all love from Culver City, California. Good to see you, Eric. Man, all right. Love It's working on her French. Roar, thank you. Wow, that's super nice. Super nice sticker. Very cool. I'm going to try to, there you go. Nice. Thank you very much, Roar. I appreciate that. That is very appreciated. You are funny. Now let me do this. I got to figure out which way to do. Oh, wait. Okay, so now I'm back up where Marisa is. I still have to figure out how to do this computer. I keep hoping somebody will come over. Love it, my beautiful life partner, you're here. Where is all this coming from? I don't know. I missed this. I missed all this. This is new for me. DK Canada, White Rabbit. That's right. She She had the right rabbit. Oh God, who's this calling me? I'm making a video. I'll have to call you back. There you go. Normally I unplug it, but yesterday I think the last time I made a video, I unplugged it and I forgot for 24 hours. So if I unplug it, you guys have to remind me before we hang up. All right. So your life partner, I got to hear more about this. This is news to me. Yeah, the white rabbit thing, if you Google Gracie Slick and her art, you can see, I mean, it's never going to be as beautiful as it is in person. In person, it was outrageous. I mean, I was like, wow, she's really a fabulous artist. Gurora, thank you for supporting Tori. Yeah, truly. Thank you very much, Gurora. That's very, very kind of you. Okay, these guys are doing French, so I'm going to skip that. Moose on the loose. Have a beautiful night, y'all. Dazing back out. All right, sleep tight, Moose on the loose. He must be on the loose in his dreams. All right. Sophie says, oh, Tori, I know about the Monterey Pop Festival. Okay, good. Otis Redding did the legendary performance. Yeah, a bunch of people did legendary performances. It's a good one to Google. It really is. Kim White, you've got such great stories, Tori. Did you get to meet the Doors? I did. Yeah. I mean, I don't think they'd remember me, but I did. And Mick Jagger with the Stones, you know, it was like, I did. Mick Jagger and I were like this far apart at the Rose Bowl. While I was in Scientology, I was there. And it was like, it was so much fun. There were kids that were 5 years old on up to 90-year-olds. I mean, everybody in the audience knew every single word of every single song that he sang. It was so much fun. Oh, I love concerts. I really do. Oh yeah, I saw the Doors all the time. Yeah, because all those guys were playing during those times. One of my favorite bands of all times. Yeah, me too. Me too. I don't think anyone joins a cult thinking they're joining a cult. They don't. And Scientology is really big on they're not a cult. So, they really emphasize that they're not a cult. And I don't know, you kind of believe it. It's like, okay, you're not a cult. I mean, my husband and I and our son used to go to Marietta Hot Springs, which at the time was run by the Live Polarity, which was a cult. And we could see they were a cult because they all had to wear the same flower in their hair, the same clothes. They did the same thing. I mean, it was amazing. They were really cool. We liked them. We thought, this is a cool cult. But we could see they were a cult, but we couldn't see Scientology was a cult. It was very weird. Very weird. I didn't mean you wouldn't be friends. It's cool you're both not in and still talk. Yeah. No, I get it. Yeah, it is cool. It is. It's awesome about the billboards. I know 20 of them. I know. I'm really impressed. I can't wait to see him. I'm going to go try to get some photographs of him. Before Scientology was recognized as a religion, it was a weird alternative health proof. That's correct. I remember the pre-religion days. It was better that way, obviously. Yeah, that's what I joined for. I didn't join. And, ironically, my mother-in-law, who got in 1950, told us this story because I said, what happened? And she said, well, most of us joined to do Dianetics. And like you said, it's just sort of this alternative self-improvement thing. And then Hubbard came up with this, I'm going to start the Church of Scientology. And a ton of the Dianeticist people left. Not a ton, but I mean, a whole bunch. And I think that's when he started PTSSP, because it was sort of like he had to draw the line where you're either on this side or that side. You can't be on both. And that's what I think. But she said it was a big deal. It was a big upset for people. And me too. You know, I was never into the religious thing ever. You know, it would, I mean, and actually OSA came to me and they said, yeah, don't worry about it. You know, we're just doing it so the judge can't look in the folders, you know, because they put the priest penitence privilege on outside every folder. And Wallersheim was suing them at that time. And so they didn't want him to look into the folders and see what happened. So they really pumped up the religion, and we had to all wear our ministers' outfits and all this other stuff. We all did the minister's course and got ordained in 1 week. JB808 question: do you keep in touch with the Headleys? I'm sorry, I don't, but it isn't because I don't want to. I mean, we kind of send cards and stuff like that, but they're busy and, they're in Colorado. But I would like to. I've talked to Claire, and I love Mark. I mean, I really like their whole family. They're really great. I don't really know the kids, but I know Mark and Claire. The interview you did with Claire from a year ago only recently showed up on my feed, but it was a great interview. Thank you. Yeah, I don't think I've seen it either since we did it, so I'll have to poke around for it. Or maybe you could post it on my Facebook site. That would be cool, because I don't remember it. I mean, I remember doing it, but I don't remember seeing it really anywhere. Laura FM just showed some of the billboards tonight. Such great placements around the city. Good. Yeah, I'm sure a bunch of us will be showing them, because it's like the more we show them, the more fun it is. Hey, love it. Aloha, says JB808. And Kim White, I love the Doors. 2 ladies. Jim was ahead of his time. Very much. Yeah. And Valerie Watkins said, comment tomorrow, protests nationwide for hands off my health care. Ooh, I didn't know that. That sounds good. Hands off my health care. I'll have to find out where that is here. Hands off my health care. This stupid idiot. Ugh. Okay, Marisa has tall person energy. Exactly. And Gurur, wait, where'd he go? Here it is. Thanks for modding, Sophie. You do a great job. Yeah. Thank you, Sophie. And love it. You guys are really great. Jamie from eBay. All right. Hey, Tori. Hi. Thank you for coming by. Gurur. And love it. You're awesome too. I agree. They're a good team. I would care about your book. It would be the first one I would read. Thank you, Seaglin. All right, well, I've got to get it done. Now that my brother told me this thing about ChatGPT, that you can just talk into it and then they edit and put it together and everything. I used to talk to him every day, and now I haven't at all. I think he's busy making his book. That's okay. I want him to get it done. Tori, you're hilarious. You too. Yeah, we're 2 peas in a pod. No question about that. Alligators. Now that I'm an adult, I have a hard time understanding what made my mother stick with Scientology. I get that we were studying the science of the mind for self-help. In the beginning, it's illogical. Yeah, I can see where I think you're not alone in that. I think a lot of people that were born into it have a hard time understanding, what the hell were they thinking of? Like you heard Dylan, if you watch that, his grandfather was in it. And then, his father, and for very different reasons. And then, he got in it, so it's tricky. It's very tricky. But I try to tell people, because they're always pitching, they'll help you, they'll fix you, it's the greatest thing on earth. If you want to make money, they'll triple your money. And the truth is, that's not true. I mean, some people get into Scientology and they do better, but like my mother said, Tori, you're just growing up. That's all that's happening. And people get wiser and smarter and better as they grow up. It's not because of Dianetics. It's because you're growing up. And I think she's right. I do. I mean, I've seen a lot of Scientologists get out of Scientology, and they do very well. Not all of them, but a lot of them. But I don't think it's because of Scientology. Just like I used to always think everything, all the skills that I have were because of Scientology. And then one day I realized, no, wait a minute. I grew up with people. My parents were like this. My father was a broadcaster on NBC for football. So he was on TV, right? My mother was a natural PR in the community. So it was sort of like those skills and communication I grew up with. They are the reason that I can do what I can do. My grandfather was a great storyteller. I mean, great, way better than me. He was something else, and he was a doctor, but he was a character beyond characters. And so, that all that, and my brothers, it was just sort of like the town I grew up in, Park Ridge, like Hillary Clinton said, it takes a village. And that was Park Ridge. It was, she went to my high school in Park Ridge, and we're in a class council together. So, it did take a village, and that was a good book. Anyway, alligators. Now that okay, I get that. Yeah, I get that as far as your mom. But you know what? One of my friends told me recently, someone had said something kind of nasty about him. And I called him up and I said, wow, you went over and helped that person. And he goes, yeah, it's because I believe I live by two things. One is forgiveness, and the other is do the right thing. And it isn't that you have to, but it's a very healthy way to live when you think about it. That was Graham Berry when he went to help Aaron after Aaron had written a bunch of shit about him. This was a year ago or so. But, then he went in and got him out of the sheriff's department. And I was like, what happened? I wanted to know, because it was like, wow, that was impressive. And then when he said that, I went, I love that story. I love that story. It's true. Forgiveness and do the right thing. So if it helps, it helps. If it doesn't, don't worry about it. Because it helped me, but if it doesn't help you, then don't worry about it. It'll all come in time. It will. Good morning, Tori. Hi, Hans Christian Schwartz. And JB says, grrr. I know, I love that name. JB 808. And Sophie is saying hi to Hans. Okay, sister wives allegedly. When did this come about and where is it? Eric, my mom had a health scare. Yesterday. She had a stone in her gallbladder. She went to the hospital yesterday, and she will be having surgery soon and will see a specialist. Me and my family need prayers. Okay. I definitely will keep you in my prayers. And I ask everybody here if you can also pray for his mother, because she's really a wonderful person. And if you happen to be watching, hello, you'll be okay. It's all right. It's not, I don't think it's a dangerous gallbladder. I don't think it's a dangerous surgery, Eric. I think you'll be okay. She'll be okay, and you'll be okay. So just stay strong. You know what I mean? Like she's probably having her own difficulties now. So you can help her by staying strong and coming here and asking for prayers. That's a very good idea. So we will all send prayers for your mother, or best wishes, whatever anybody wants to send. I'm sorry to hear that, Eric, though. I really am, but I think she'll be fine. Okay, look at 8, JB808. Aloha. My friend is here from the Big Island. Ooh, fun. Sophie, thank you for always being there. Oh no, look. Ah. No. Oh no, when it froze. I don't have any other windows open. Oh, come on. I don't know if I could just do sound. Ooh, what happened? What the hell happened? I don't know. I don't know. Hey. There you go. Now I think I'm back. Can you hear me? God, how weird. That was really weird. I don't know what's going on with this computer. It's really weird. This happened with Dylan. You didn't freeze for me. Okay. Tori Magoo, we can't still see and hear you. Okay. I know that's what was happening with me. It was like frozen. And I couldn't get anything to move. And then I shrunk it down and put it back up and it worked. I can see you, Tori. Good. All right, alligators. Eric. I got mine removed and I didn't stay 24 hours in the hospital. Technology has improved a lot. Don't worry, my friend. I'm sending you light and good vibes. Me too. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I know a lot of people that have had that surgery and they're fine. So I'm pretty sure she will be fine, but we will still send prayers just in case she needs them. And I hope this doesn't freeze again. Okay, Kim White says, maybe it's your monitor. We could hear and see you. But it's a laptop. I don't get that, Kim. Real witches don't publicly announce they are witches. Remember that. Good thing to know. My lips are sealed. Yeah, Eric, you're going to be fine. You will, and your mom will be too. Like she said, that it's come a long way as far as that kind of surgery. A lot of surgeries have. They really have. They've come a long way. Thank goodness for us. All right. So does anyone have a question about why to join or why not, or any of your stories of why you joined or why you didn't, or why you left? I'll get you my pretty and my little dog too. I'll get you my pretty and my little dog too. Witches no, but witches yes. How do we get into witches? I know, that was a good one. Which is no, but which is yes. All right. Well, anyway, I just wanted to see you guys tonight. It was Friday night. I figured midnight with Magoo. It's a good time. I don't know what's happening with my laptop. Because that's the second time that's happened. I don't know. But you know what I can do? I can take it to the Geek Squad because I pay for that. So I'm going to write it down. Go to the Geek Squad with this. Today is what day? Today's Friday, right? So not Saturday, probably Tuesday. I'll go Tuesday to the Geek Squad. And they can check it out and figure it out. Question, Tori. What do you think is a good thing to say to someone who is questioning Scientology? My thing is to ask them about free speech because almost everyone I know, yeah, I know it's Saturday. Thank you. Thank you, Eric. Almost everyone I know believes in free speech, or at least they say they believe in free speech. Hi, YRB. So my thing is to say, how do you feel about free speech? And most people will say, I'm for it. Okay. So if I had a video that I wanted you to watch, this is if it's like a family member, will you watch it? I think it's something you'd like. Now, sometimes they'll say yes, sometimes they'll say no. But either way, you've got something to talk about. After reading Scientology Dianetics, my father concluded that if he got to define the words, he could win any argument. Ooh. It was a pile of redefined words, previous thinkers, many of whom proven wrong prior. I told you my friends spent 10 years tracing down each piece of tech, and all of them had earlier beginnings, either authors or philosophies or religions. They were from Hubbard, just stole them and then repackaged them and put his name on it with a big bow. There you go. I'll get you. I'll get you, my pretty, and your little dog, too. It's funny. Eric, you stay strong. And you can call me anytime, too, if you're worried. So that's what I think, Sophie. That's what I would start with. But, it's my thing is like try to start with something that you guys can talk about. Don't yell stuff at them. Don't evaluate for them. Don't say you're this, you're that, or this is a cult. Because, what are they going to do with that? Nothing. It does zero communication. So it's not that it's not true. It is true. But like one time I just walked down the street of L. Ron Hubbard Way and I walked up to a Sea Org member and I said, what happened to the HASI memberships? And she literally stopped in her tracks and went, HASI memberships? I mean, those were the old Hubbard Association of Scientology International. It was the pre-IAS, where the HASI membership, and you had to buy a HASI membership, and they were, I think, $500 for a lifetime. It was nothing. It was nothing like IAS is now. Thank you, Eric. You're right. It's Saturday. So, yeah, YRB, good for your dad. So he never got into it, right? And you never got into it? Am I right? All right, Marisa, I had to say it because there's a lot of unnecessary intimidation going on in the anti-Scientology world. I don't tolerate it. What did you say? I missed it. Okay, I'm going up here to look and see what you said. Real witches don't publicly announce they are witches. Remember that? Is that what you're talking about? As far as the anti-Scientology movement? it. Hey, Tori. Hey, Chad. Hey, I am who you say I am. That's a good one, too. YRB, that's interesting. Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, I am curious though. Did your dad get into it? Probably not. But did you? Did you get into it? Robert Sandy Beach, question. Have you seen the new billboards? I haven't yet. I just saw them tonight I saw it on Facebook that they have them. I'm going to go and check them out this weekend. Alligators. I was lucky in a sense when I said, no more Scientology for me. No one asked me why, and they let me go. But I was on my own at 12 years old. I got kicked out by my family, but I was free. No regrets. Wow. That's so intense. I remember parents saying that. I'm just going to kick them out. I'd say, they're your kids. You don't kick out children. They're your children. It's your job to raise them. But I guess everybody's got their way of doing things. Alligator, you were left alone at 12? I know, that's intense. Eric. Diane, do you have an email? I can give you my phone number, and yes, we can talk. I have Facebook and Instagram, but I'm in Facebook jail. You are? Oh, yeah, I think you told me that. I was in Facebook jail 3 times. Alligators at 12 years old. That's still a baby. Yeah, really. That is. Why do you think Hollywood became a semi-breeding ground for Scientology? Well, they had American St. Hill here, which Dianetics in the back of it says American St. Hill. I mean, that's why I came from Chicago to here. It didn't say St. Hill, New York, right? It had American St. Hill in England, or St. Hill in England, or American St. Hill in LA. So that was part of it. Then they also had AOLA, which quickly formed, and then Celebrity Center. And those 3 things are what I think, really boomed it. Because there's a lot of artists here in Los Angeles and people that want to be artists if they're not. And of course, Scientology really tapped in on that. And in the 60s and 70s, they had some really cool artists. They did. They really, really did. I helped supervise John Travolta. That was fun. Alligators, sending lots of love and respect for being so strong and resilient. Yeah, really. At 12? What did you do? I've got to interview you, Alligator, and hear your story. That's got to be wild. If you want to do an interview, let me know, because I'd love to hear your story. That's amazing. Do you have any? Okay, so Eric said that. So that's what I think, Marie. That's what I think. Alligators, yes, lovely, but what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. True. Yeah. No, he never got into it, and neither did I. Yes, I thought you were never into it because you're too together. Not that we who were in it aren't together, but I'm glad you weren't. I really am. That's good, and good for your dad. I mean, I always thought that about my dad. If he had stayed alive, because he died when I was 22, just when I got in Scientology, right after that. But I think if he'd stayed alive, he would have come and got me. He would have and said, no, you can pick whatever you want to do, but you're not doing this. Because my dad would have seen it. He would have said, no. And I mean, he was a big guy. He was something else. All right. Sophie's sending you lots of love, and me, and love it. Alligator, sorry, I haven't been doing this, love it. Mm. Ooh. Ooh, ooh, ooh. My new bridges, sometimes if I drink cold water, they go, ow. My father believed that one should be informed of other people's basis of belief in order to communicate, but that's totally different than believing in the same thing. Exactly. One is smart, one is not. Understand where people start is always in order to have a full communication. Yeah, that's what I mean. And you have to kind of, talk to people. It's hard though with Scientologists because they are geared to, it's like the Matrix, and they're like, wait a minute, this is a special person. They're going to ask me questions that I don't want to answer. So they cut you off pretty quick. You have to. It's pretty tricky. Sophie, absolutely. This is alligators. I realize it. It. I realized it when my daughters was growing. I could see the kiddo I was. Aw, that's so sweet. Isn't it true with our kids? Alligator, yes. When you see your own children and think about what you went through at their age, it hits different. Yeah. And YRB says there's a sense of exclusivity, what artists are, or some artists are attracted to. And there was a time you had to be invited or referred to be able to get a subscription to National Geographic. Really? I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Wow. I like National Geographic. All right, I gotta take this out because it sounds too weird. There. I'm better. Okay. So basically, with Scientology, why join? Some people join because they think they're going to get help. It costs tons of money. That's why not. It costs tons of money, and they don't deliver what they promise. And they say you can always get your money back. Not true. They owe me over $1 million. Remember that, Osa. I'm not going away. They're just hoping I die. And you know what? That's why I keep making videos, because I figure, hey, it's on the net. Even if I happen to pass away, there you go. Okay, I wonder if artists and creative people are more drawn to joining cults. I would think so. Because they're often shunned in other things. It's like if you're not, if you don't have a college degree or whatever, we're not interested. Whereas cults are like, yeah, come on in. We'd love to have you in here. So they're very inclusive at first. They're very exclusive as you get into it. YRB. One of the clear signs that Scientology is in trouble is that their memberships cannot statistically defend or explain their beliefs. Their membership cannot steadfastly defend or explain their beliefs and practices. Very true. Very true. And the other one, the biggest one, is just go look in the door. I mean, people all the time, I'll talk to people on the street and they'll say, well, Scientology is expanding. And I'll say, really? Based on what? I mean, that was kind of before Leah, so I'm not sure because, with the aftermath and all you guys, I don't know that people still, I have to go out and ask it again. But in years past, they would say, "Oh yeah, they're definitely expanding," and I'd say, "And that's based on what?" And they'd say, "Well, look at all the buildings they own. They've got to be expanding." And I always ask them, "Have you ever looked in those buildings?" And I'd say 99.5% say, "No, I haven't." And I say, "Okay, well, here's what you'll see: 3 people. That's it." They used to have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, and now they have 3 people. And I've gone from the top, from Seattle all the way down to San Diego. And we've gone in all, or looked in at least all of their ideal orgs and gone in some of them, and they're empty. That's just the way it is. I mean, it's filled up when they do their big grand opening. They've got thousands of people there, which is really hundreds, but they have a lot. It looks like it. But then the next day, that's it. Not Scientology for artists. They are too poor, maybe other cults. Well, they kind of work it out with him, though, with Celebrity Center Alligator, because they want the artists in there. So they probably, I mean, you're right, it does cost too much money, but they have ways where they can, keep them in. Christy, were people who were born into Scientology favored or given special privileges more so than people who weren't born in it? Well, that's a good question. That is really a good question. And I would say no. I think if anything, they're sort of abandoned. This was always I would talk to the executives all the time from when they were babies. I mean, I was in when a lot of these second gens were babies, and they were in little, a crib kind of a thing next to their mother's desk. And she was like on the phone talking away, trying to sell somebody something. And I'd go talk to the execs and I'd say, these mothers and fathers need to have time with their children. And you're working them to death and they never get to see the kids. But I think the kids, they had a hard time because of that. They really didn't get the family life that most people would hope to have. So no, I don't think they were treated, if they were born in it, I don't think they were given special privileges at all. If anything, they're taken away from them because most of the people in Scientology were too busy doing Scientology to spend time. Like, I took off for 5 years when my son was born. I said, no, I'm going to be with my kid. You know what I mean? And I homeschooled them and I learned a whole bunch of stuff. And I mean, it was great. It was really great. And it gave me a whole new path for him as far as me as a mom and he as my son. And so he really didn't do much Scientology. He didn't. But as I was watching, I was seeing, I remember telling him, don't ever work in a wise company, ever. He said, why not? And I said, because they give you these big titles, you're the director of communication. But the truth is they'll never pay you any more money. It's really a scam. And, that was when I was in. I was way in. But I was able to see that. I know it is sad. I'm just joining. I hope everyone saw Laura and Dan's stream touring some of the new billboards. Hi, Christian. Welcome. I haven't seen them yet. I just read it on Facebook that they have those. Somebody put up the billboards, and or the 3 main ones, and said they're going to do 20 of them. So that's cool. That's good. I'll check it out. Thank you. And I hope you subscribe, and I hope everybody here hits the like button. Wow. There you go. All right. So anyway, does anyone have any questions before we say goodnight? Hi, Cassie. How are you? I want all of you to say a prayer tonight or send some good wishes to Eric's mom so that she has a very successful surgery tomorrow or whenever she has it, because sometimes it might be tomorrow's, you don't know, but let's just keep her in our hearts that she has a very successful surgery. And that's it. That's it for tonight. The next one I'm going to do is Sunday. I'm going to do a Q&A, and it's going to be 8, 9-ish. And I'm seeing if there's a couple of people I might do it with, but I have to check and see. I'll post it. Okay. All right. So I want to thank you guys. Let me see. Wait, Cassie said something. Just got home from a comedy show. Oh, okay. Good to catch you live for a moment. Oh, good. That's fun. Thank you, alligators, for all your cute hearts. That's sweet. Lots of love to everyone. I agree. If I knew how to do hearts, I'd put a whole bunch of hearts up there. But anyway, I'm sending you my love. And Eric, you stay strong. If you need help, call me. And peace, love, and good vibrations. That is true. I am who you say I am. See you Sunday. All right, we're out. Okay, you guys, thank you for the hearts and thank you for coming. And Sophie and Lovett, thank you for being the moderators and have a wonderful weekend, all of you. All right, I'm out.